Hi, everyone. This is Melman Jackson, and it's time to circle the wagons because the Coon Prairie Ramblers are getting together here. That's where we share our mental meanderings and confabulate on just about everything. With me are the two Nocatee sages, or as they say in Nocatee, the two wise guys. Right. We got KC and the Moonshine Gang. KC.
And hallucinations.
All right. And we have the rebel without a clue, Luke.
All right, let's do it.
All right. You know what? My wife was listening to our program from Memorial Day, where y'all was.
We have a listener. Yes.
We were all talking,
right.
And she's a subscriber.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you.
Big shout out to Carrie.
All right. Yeah.
And she was saying, we were talking about barbecue.
Barbecue.
And she stuck her head out the door and she said, Mel, Luke, and KC, they know everything about cooking, but you didn't know anything. Ooh. You just asked questions. I said, well, that's okay. I said, but I know the answer. I know why that is. I said, it's because of community. I didn't grow up the way they grew up.
You didn't grow out the way we grew out either.
Yeah.
You're still slim and trim, brother.
Yeah, I was raised by a single mom, and I moved around a lot. I was one of these kids that was in a different school each year of my life, with the exception of high school. I had a little bit of stability there, but by the time I'd already gone through my formative years. And honestly, I don't remember doing any cooking out. And I told her, I said, it's because of community. I didn't have community. I didn't grow up in Nocatee, and. Maybe that's not completely all the truth, but maybe I was just lazy or something. But didn't learn how to barbecue, and so I couldn't confabulate that much on it. But anyway, I think there's a lot to say about community. Now, I don't agree with this book that's out. It says it takes a village.
Raise an idiot.
Yeah,
a person, a child, or whatever it is.
But I do believe there's something to say about growing up in one place where somebody else's mother down the road has something to say about, what you do, or, like, Luke, you better get home because your mother's looking, that type of thing.
There's advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah. I never knew my neighbors, and so therefore I've never been stuck. I've always been one of these guys I could just pick up and leave it, in a second, except I can't do it now because I've been here too long, and my wife is from here, and now
you're stuck now.
And I'm kind of getting to know what this community thing is.
And you're also struck with wanderlust.
I've always had wanderlust.
They call him the Wanderer.
Yeah.
The Wanderer.
Yeah, what was that?
Attention, Kmart shoppers. What was that?
Blue light special.
We're ready for the blue plate special. That's what we do.
Yeah, blue plate.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I think there's something. I don't believe in the village raising a child because mom and dad should. But then I didn't have dad. I only knew a dad from age 5 to 10.
Well, Nocatee, I guess, could be called a village or a hamlet or something like that. But we grew up not only knowing each other and all our friends' siblings and their parents' names, but we knew all their dogs' names and stuff, and we could probably still rattle off some of them. So it was a close-knit community.
Yeah. And you knew that if you really screwed up,
right,
that would beat you home.
You ain't
before
kidding.
You got home.
Yeah.
This is before cell phones.
Yeah, mom and dad know exactly what you did and how you were in the wrong, and there was no questioning it. It wasn't like I got home and was able to explain it away, and I couldn't go home and blame it on somebody else because, they had it down pat. They knew exactly what happened.
The whole neighborhood or the whole community might have known because back then it was party lines.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That take care of a lot of the passing of the information.
Yeah. My mama never knew what happened because we didn't have the community to talk because we moved into a place and we were there long enough to, there's a lot of families like that, lower economical status or on the run. Economically on the run.
There you go.
Going from place to
from
place.
The bill collector.
Yeah. And the rent essentially, that's probably what my history was.
In a community like we grew up in, you also used any excuse or opportunity there was to get together to eat.
Yeah,
buddy.
You
had
you name it.
The church evolved around food. You had Fifth Wednesday suppers. You had dinner on the ground.
Dinner on the ground.
It seemed what we had dinner on the ground a lot more often than what you see it
now.
But
was it dinner or was it supper?
Dinner.
Dinner
so-
is lunch in the South.
So right after church. Oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking church, but
Yeah, noon.
you're
you never heard of
Yeah.
supper on the grounds.
Yeah.
Dinner on the
Dinner
grounds
on
is
the grounds.
lunch.
okay.
The Lord's Supper was at night.
Yeah.
That's right. So that settles it once and for all. Your evening meal is supper. That's biblical.
Yeah. So
But we also, anything that happened, I mean, you had any excuse there was, we'd get together and eat. Somebody got married, you got together and ate. Somebody died, food would come out of the walls.
That's
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
everybody you knew would bring over some sort of covered dish or some sort of meal, and there was more food than you could eat.
Mostly
I mean,
casseroles and ham.
I don't think I ever looked forward to anybody dying, but
But
I enjoyed the
you
benefits
knew
of
you was
it.
going to eat good.
Yeah, you might as well go in and enjoy the benefits.
That's right.
And, the weddings, and when somebody got sick, people would bring food to them.
come to think
And
of
if you were real sick,
Yeah.
you got on the prayer list.
oh
on the
yeah,
prayer list,
Yeah.
that's
When
right.
you got on the prayer list, that was a signal for other people to bring you food to your house.
So just keep me on the prayer list.
Right.
It's like an SOS for food.
And a lot of times
Send
they would
that
say, for instance, if your wife was sick and you were a working man, they would get together and prepare a meal, not just particular, everybody, they'd make sure they had you like a roast or whatever, so that night, like when your wife was in the hospital or something, you could come home to a meal.
And eat on it for a day or two.
Right, yeah.
Make sandwiches the next day
No,
or whatever.
Sam.
Now this is community. This is not church community. This is
Community.
Well, that's
community.
all together.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community, to me, is not just where I grew up at, but it's the people I hung out with. I mean, you had the church, and then you had social groups, and you had friends and family, and all the friends and family we had didn't go to the same church necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
And now it's even expanded, further.
But the community was
The-
like an extended family.
A lot of people probably don't realize this, or maybe nobody even knows or cares, but we began, the three of us, this whole little Coon Prairie Ramblers, came from the Brew Crew,
Yeah.
That's true.
which was a spinoff from Facebook that one day Luke and I had spoke and said, instead of just getting together on Facebook and talking, why don't we get together one morning and we'll all have coffee and we'll bring Facebook down to a face level. We'll
Right.
meet and talk and enjoy coffee and laugh and cut up. And that's what we did. And it really kind of took off and grew a lot. And from that's how I met you,
Yeah.
was through the Brew Crew. And that's a community.
I remember the day I walked in there. I think I saw your lips saying, "Who's that?"
Yeah. Who dat? Who dat?
Who that
And
is?
but anyhow, we met for quite a while, and then one day we had this idea: hey, why don't we have a covered dish supper? Supper,
Yeah.
not dinner. We had a covered dish
Supper.
and on tomorrow will have been 3 years since we had that first covered dish supper.
How in
And
the
since
world?
then, we've had we went up to Bartow to eat. We've gone down to Punta Gorda to eat. We've rolled over to different
Had
areas.
cookouts and fish
We've had
fries.
cookouts, fish fries, barbecue.
And now you call that by another name. It's a whole nother group called
Chew Crew.
The Chew
The Chew Crew.
The Chattanooga Chew Crew.
It's evolution.
Yeah, so I mean that's grown,
But
but
it-
that's all part of the community. And when you start getting into school, you got people there, and you start getting ready to raise money for your class projects, and you go
Yeah.
home and make brownies or cakes, bake back and have a bake sale.
I think organizations have a big part in keeping the community together and doing things. And beyond that, I mean, people talk about DeSoto County and Arcadia being poor and not having anything and not ever being anything. But you let somebody's child get sick or you let somebody's house burn down and you see the jars turning up at the Circle K's and stuff and people turning out and giving money and supporting that family.
But then when you see that jar, you always ask, well, what is, and then you get the story about what
right.
happened there.
It makes it personal.
And
We're very supportive in a small
a
community.
lot of times they'll have a barbecue
They sure will.
to raise money.
A fundraiser.
Barbecue.
Barbecue to raise money for somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody will really get together and hitch up in the same team
Uh-huh.
and pull together.
It wasn't until I didn't really start experiencing community until I entered the church back, 40 years ago. And that was when, and that was a new paradigm shift.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
That changed the dynamics of your whole life.
yeah, and then started experiencing dinner on the ground, and it was
Well,
community.
Community is you see here, community effort. I mean, that's us pulling together, but there's always introverts in every community too, and hopefully they'll experience community on some level and be drawn out to show.
And we were born with a need to be around other people like us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people see faces in the clouds. They look, you know, we were
Interesting.
in our DNA to be looking for other people from the caveman days or whatever it was. We were looking for other people that were similar to us.
We consider our listeners out there a community as well. We thank you for being part of our community, and we're going to be back in just a minute or two, so y'all don't go nowhere.